Call me Mrs. Whatsit.
Mrs. Who?
No, Mrs. Whatsit. Mrs. Who is... she's like a billion years older and way more knowledgeable.
What can I do for you, Mrs. Whatsit?
I caught her stealing sheets, guys. She's harmless.
You're 6. Come on. What do you know about harmless?
Have I ever been wrong?
Well, one of these days you might be Charles Wallace.
Oh, I highly doubt that. He's one of the greatest minds in recent history. He's prodigious. But of course, we can't take any credit for our talents. It's how we use them that counts.
Quiet on the set!
This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the March 6, 2018 edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Brought to you on the Chronograph Network. Starting with the box office report, the King of Wakanda is dining on turkey as Black Panther scores a third #1 weekend. The top 12 earned $137.2 million, which is a 20% drop from last year's March opener, but it brings this weekend to 4th place, behind 2004's Passion of the Christ, 2012's The Lorax, and 2017's Logan. I don't begrudge that first title, it's #1 spot. The countdown begins with number 10 and Every Day, down 1 from 9th. At number 9 is The Greatest Showman, down 1 from 8th. At 8th is 50 Shades Freed, dropping 3 from 5th. In 7th is Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, down 1 from 6th, and a mere $10 million from becoming Sony's top-grossing film of all time. That race might come down to the wire, since it's hitting digital shelves this week. And capping the bottom 5 is Annihilation, down 2 from 4th. The top 5 begins with Peter Rabbit, down 2 from 3rd with $10 million and a total of $84.1 million. In 4th place is Game Night, down 2 from 2nd with $10.4 million and a new total of $33.2 million. In 3rd place is new release Death Wish, picking up $13 million. Audiences gave it a B+ cinema score, which is not spectacular for the action genre. Critics had a wide margin ranging from 13 to 31%. The timing really isn't great for this film, given the topic and the political landscape, and these days you kind of have to wonder if any time is a good one to release a film like this. I'm pretty sure MGM just won this off their shelves, since it was already delayed once last fall, partially due to the concert shooting in Las Vegas. In 2nd place is the other new release, Red Sparrow, premiering to $16.9 million. Based on the first novel in a trilogy by Jason Matthews, this film met monetary expectations. Audiences gave it a B, and critics settled between 50 and 53%. But reading through some of those reviews, there is some criticism out there about just how much Jennifer Lawrence's character sacrifices potential empowerment as a female action figure for stereotypes and tropes. As mentioned in the lead-in, this week's winner is Black Panther, holding onto the throne for a 3rd week with $66.3 million and a total of $501.7 million. And that's the 3rd highest 3rd weekend of all time, behind Avatar and The Force Awakens, the 3rd fastest to reach $500 million domestically behind Jurassic World and The Force Awakens, and the 3rd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to hold #1 for 3 straight weeks, joining Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and the Avengers in that elite company. That's a lot of threes. Black Panther's performance has also earned it the 10th highest grossing domestic release of all time, the 3rd highest grossing comic book adaptation, and the 3rd highest grossing superhero film. It's currently 47 on the all-time worldwide top 50, and the 2nd highest performer in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with about $123 million to go before beating the Avengers. The box office premieres for March 9th begin with The Tesseract. This week's headliner is A Wrinkle in Time, a science fiction family adventure film starring Storm Reed, Oprah Winfrey, and Reese Witherspoon.
So, what if we are here for a reason? What if we are not just in the universe, but the universe is within all of us?
Think about quantum entanglement. 2 electrons, once bonded together, in love, if you will, suddenly separated by a galaxy, but somehow still just as connected. An unbroken union despite being galaxies apart.
And our most recent calculations show us that these fields connect us to other dimensions. Dimensions outside of the limitations of space and time. Imagine that. Imagine. Rather than enduring the oppressive rules of time and space, we could wrinkle it. 91 billion light years traveled like that.
After the disappearance of her scientist father, three peculiar beings send Meg, her brother, and her friend to space in order to find him. This was brought to the screens once before in 2003 as a made-for-TV movie, and that one was not well received. This time around, I was a little more skeptical, and I was actually sold on the trailer. There's a scene in the book where a group of kids are bouncing balls in their driveways in complete synchronization, and they stop at the exact same time, and in a movement that screams demonic possession, stare right at the hero. The trailer captured that exactly as I saw it when I read the book over and over again as a kid. I was sold. A Wrinkle in Time is rated PG. Now, there are 2 Disney films in theaters this week between A Wrinkle in Time and Black Panther, so if they're not quite your flavor, we got 3 other contenders that are trying to stop them. The first is The Strangers, Pray at Night, a horror film starring Christina Hendricks, Bailey Madison, and Martin Henderson.
You lock him out?
Mm-mm.
Guys, the door's not even locked.
Is Tamara home?
You lost or something? You want me to call someone? You okay?
Same girl?
Yeah.
Where are the kids?
What?
Did they wander off?
A family staying in a secluded mobile home park for the night are visited by 3 masked psychopaths to test their every limit. The Strangers, Pray at Night is rated R. The second contender is The Hurricane Heist, a crime thriller starring Toby Kebbell, Maggie Grace, and Ryan Quanten.
The treasury's being robbed.
Where is she?
They need me. I'm the only one with the code.
We gotta go get my brother.
I need your help.
Let's go save the world.
Thieves attempt a massive heist against the U.S. Treasury as a Category 5 hurricane approaches one of its mint facilities. The Hurricane Heist is rated PG-13. And the third contender is Gringo, a crime comedy starring Joel Edgerton, Charlize Theron, and Thandie Newton.
There it is again. What is that smell?
Fat Willis barbecue. I always bring it for Angel. Angel! Buenos dias.
¿Cómo estás, Harold?
There you go.
Gracias.
Allow me to introduce our co-presidents, Mr. Rusk and Miss Mackinson.
Yep, hola. Yes, sir.
Permítame presentarle nuestros residentes, señor Rusk y su mocasín.
New app. Amazing.
You know what else is amazing is actually learning a foreign language. Yo quiero Taco Bell, huh?
That's sensational.
This dark comedy mixed with white-knuckle action and dramatic intrigue explores the battle of survival for businessman Harold Soyinka when he finds himself crossing the line from a law-abiding citizen to wanted criminal. Gringo is rated R. There are also 3 titles on this week's limited slate, and you can find those listed in the show notes. Next up is a look at the home entertainment slate for the week of March 6th. That'll begin with new release on DVD and Blu-ray, and that one kicks off with Thor Ragnarok, a Marvel Cinematic Universe film starring Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, and Cate Blanchett. Imprisoned, the mighty Thor finds himself in a lethal gladiatorial contest against the Hulk, his former ally. Thor must fight for survival and race against time to prevent the all-powerful Hela from destroying his home and the Asgardian civilization. Thor Ragnarok is rated PG-13. Number 2 on the list is Lady Bird, a drama starring Saoirse Ronan, Odeya Rush, and Jordan Rodriguez. In 2002, an artistically inclined 17-year-old girl comes of age in Sacramento, California. Lady Bird is rated R. And number 3 is Wonder Wheel, a drama starring Kate Winslet, Juno Temple, and Justin Timberlake. On Coney Island in the 1950s, a lifeguard tells the story of a middle-aged carousel operator and his beleaguered wife. Wonder Wheel is rated PG-13. Swinging by new release on digital video, I have one title to share, and that one is Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, an adventure comedy starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillan. In a brand new Jumanji adventure, 4 high school kids discover an old video game console and are drawn into the game's jungle setting, literally becoming the adult avatars they chose. What they discover is that you don't just play Jumanji, you must survive it. To beat the game and return to the real world, they have to go on the most dangerous adventure of their lives, discover what Alan Parrish left 20 years ago, and change the way they think about themselves, or be stuck in the game forever. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle is rated PG-13.
FX presents Atlanta.
Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, start things there with Atlanta, Season 1 from 2016, starring Donald Glover, Brian Tyree Henry, and Lakeith Stanfield. Winner of 2 Emmy Awards, starring and created by Donald Glover, Atlanta follows 2 cousins who work through the Atlanta music scene in order to better their lives and the lives of their families. The second TV title is The Good Fight, Season 1 from 2017, starring Christine Baranski, Cush Jumbo, and Delroy Lindo. When her friend's multi-million-dollar investment scam ruins Diane Lockhart's plan for retirement, wipes out her savings, and taints her reputation, she is literally at a loss. In Season 1 of The Good Fight, from The Good Wife creators Robert and Michelle King, a disgraced Diane is forced out of her own law firm and has to join another distinguished company as a junior partner. She recruits Maya Rendell, a promising young attorney with her own baggage. Maya's parents are blamed for running the con that defrauded Diane and other members of Chicago's business elite, and Diane is reunited with her ex-employee, Luca Quinn, who has made a name for herself since leaving Lockhart Gardner. Under the pressure to both rebuild and maintain their lives, this fearless team of women all have something to prove and nothing to lose. The final TV title is Blue Planet from 2017, starring David Attenborough. Our understanding of ocean life has completely changed since The Blue Planet aired in 2001. Traveling from the icy polar seas to the vibrant blues of the coral atolls, Blue Planet 2 shares these astonishing new discoveries. Meet the strange octopuses lurking in the depths of the Antarctic Ocean, watch giant trevally fish leap to catch birds in midair, and ride on the back of a hammerhead shark as it attacks. Wrapping up the home entertainment slate with Blu-rays from the past, I bring you The Dark Crystal, a Henson classic from 1982 starring Jim Henson, Frank Oz, and Catherine Mullen. The Last of the Gelflings. Gelflings! Jen and Kira join forces and embark on a dangerous journey to heal a precious dark crystal and restore order to their planet. I love this movie. The Dark Crystal is rated PG. After a brief break for about a shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will return.
Attention, attention, it's finally here, the first and only podcast dedicated to one of the most groundbreaking television series in history, MASH. Join the hosts of MASH 4077 podcast, Kenny, Meds, and Al, as they discuss their thoughts episode by episode. They will also share with you some little-known behind-the-scenes information, trivia, and so much more. Find them on iTunes by searching MASH 4077 podcast or online at www.mash4077.podbean.com.
Welcome back. Denise apologizes for not having anything in the quick flicks this week. It's not that there's not any news, it's just that there's nothing there of substance. I mean, it's all discussions or spoilers or reboot castings. There is that one thing about Tom Cruise playing Green Lantern, maybe. That thing blew up the Facebook page for the Chronic Rift. If you haven't been there yet, go check that out. That was fun. But we want to bring you something of more substance than just reboot news or spoiler discussions. And while we'd love to have the discussion phase here on the show, we're not quite there yet. We're getting there, I promise. And trust me, there is a whole discussion that Denise and I could have on reboots alone. But with that, we're at the end of a new edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition or the show in general, we would love to hear from you. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you think we can do better. To do that, you can surf on over to the Chronic Rift homepage at chronicrift.com and leave an audio message right there on the website using your microphone. Just click the widget that says send voicemail and follow those prompts. You can also write an email or send an MP3 to weeklypodioplex@gmail.com or go short form with Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley James Keith, all one word. And I am Womprat99, like the creature look at Bullseye in his T16 in Beggars Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a review on iTunes, and find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook. The usual disclaimer applies, of course. If you leave us feedback, you may hear your words on a future edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Take a moment, stop on by, and see what other shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. The main show is making a comeback in 2018, and it's offered weekly via Facebook Live on Sundays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Grab a cuppa and join in the fun, or download the audio version later in the podcast feed. We also explore our favorite aspects of genre entertainment with the Batcave podcast, the OSI Files podcast, the G2V podcast, Generations Geek, Present the Transcription feature, the Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Diner podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, the Home Game Show version podcast, and so much more. If you have a Roku player, you can treat it like a time machine with the Chronic Rift's Roku channel, which has episodes of the Chronic Rift's adventures in the 1990s when it was a public access television show on the New York City airwaves. No Roku, no problem. We're also posting those on Facebook and on YouTube. So check us out and find the culture in pop culture. If you're interested in more of my adventures, take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I'm watching every episode of Doctor Who from the very beginning of that franchise and reviewing those tales in the Timestamps Project. This week, I'm continuing the trial of the Time Lord in the 23rd season with the 6th Doctor and Mind Warp. And you can find that review and so many more at creativecriticality.wordpress.com. You can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as an artist and cover designer. I'm a bit biased, but she did the logo for Creative Criticality, and I think it looks pretty good. She does great work. Check her out at accessoriesnotincluded.com. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make at that store supports the Chronic Rift Network. Your support keeps us on the air, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets and the network store in our show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, there are adventures in drama, comedy, and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. Get some popcorn, find your favorite seat, and enjoy the journey.
That's a wrap!